We are live. Welcome back, everybody. Oh, well, should not be flashing that. First off, let's thank uh, my man Infinite Coder 01 for the follow. Chill Dude, also called Dima, so that was absolutely funny because I raided him yesterday. Today is going to be nothing different, really. We are still waiting for the advent of code, so it's going to be 5 days. Not to finish the Titan task, because this is my troll little program, so that's not going to be a big deal. But I think I'm gonna disable the chat stuff because yeah, that was going to be a good idea, but it's weird to it feels weird to have everyone sitting on a lab when the chat is on. Or maybe I simply can trigger it even larger. But this would be every 10 minutes. I don't actually know. I wish that I was the only one to hear this. Sadly, if I want to hear the other alerts, I can't. So let's disable that. And we would see. Let's also check that my chat is running. As of last time, I always am wary of the fact that sometimes my chat is not connecting on the tablet, which I use to take a look at the messages. So we are live. Absolutely terrible grammar. Good. And this would mean, if I remember correctly, last time my tests should be actually going. Damn. Okay. So run 3 tests. Everything is fine. Okay, test input. I think this is a bad name. We'll call it like validation. So I have to change the folder name. Actually, not the folder name, but this one would be mod validation. And should not change anything. There you go. So test input validation should err less than two args. Okay, that's about good way of doing it. And anyway, as per functionality, which means I tested should err with less than 2 args because I have to take at least a path, any kind of path. Should err with incorrect path, which is great, and should okay with simple comment. Now we also want to acknowledge that there was a right, but there's no difference. You can tell the difference between an okay and a right, which makes me wonder. Can I just take a message over here like we are so on direct to a string? Because my idea would be can I differentiate my different okay messages? I don't actually differentiate it. how to have, maybe I can make it like a generic, because this is an empty expression, I believe. But if this would be a type, or rather, this could actually be a string. Okay, so now I can print back a string, which is good. Which again would mean, let's say, all done fine. String. I don't even believe it needs to be a string. It could also be just a simple nothing found. Here, let's say. The bound is not satisfied. Required for result static. Like so. 9. Okay. Looks like gives me some problems, which I could. Missing lifetime specifier. This function return contain a borrow value, but there's no value for it borrowed from. Because it is static lifetime, but this is in uncommon unless you're returning a borrowed value from a const or static. Okay, so it doesn't like because of lifetimes, but does string inquire this problem? About string termination is not required for string will implement termination. I thought I would get into the lifetime problem later than sooner. To be perfectly honest with you. String termination. Okay. Let's say we want to fight our lifetimes. I believe it was some sort of this. Missing lifetime specifier. This function return type contains a borrowed value. But what about... Okay. But there's no value for it to be borrowed from. How to put lifetime on result. Use of undeclared lifetime A. Use of undeclared lifetime. Let's chat this up. Return a lifetime result from main. Yeah, so this is the idea of the lifetime, because he doesn't know where my stuff, how long my stuff lives, right? That's the big idea. Okay, so I have to say it in the function definition, which felt weird for me, but sure. Okay, so there's the idea of the trait termination. But I can... can implement instead termination, right? Wouldn't it be like implement termination for string? And he's gonna get mad because only traits defined in the current crate can be implemented for types. Okay. Interesting. Rust. How to have messages on okay. Right, so I believe that this is basically the wrong idea. I can't actually it does not feel wrong, right? It has to be, there has to be some way for the result to be able to print something out or to put a string or some kind. Return a string from okay. Result Rust. Yeah, because the OK type is a lifetime, but the program ends. Why should that be a problem? Alternative. Can I use result string rather than result? I feel like ChatGPT in this case does not do as well as I wish. By the way, let's close up Telegram. Yes, so result string should work. But as said before, if I string it, it would be a trait string termination is not satisfied. There we go. The trait bound from string is not satisfied. No. This is closer. It's not specified. Required for I test to implement termination. We have issue with the result. Right, so we have a custom error, like in my case. He will return a nice 63 and a test error, which is perfectly normal. And in the main function is going to be a nice 64 and a test error. Precisely. You have this issue even with results if you attempt to return I63 from main. You can only return values from main if they implement termination. The purpose of this trait is to convert a value to an exit code. There's no one-to-one mapping from I64 to exit codes. Because we're not on a preference for the full domain of values. Therefore, I7 will implement termination, which is why I compare this. Consider returning instead. If you want the program to actually terminate the exact code 1, change the return type. Okay, so at least I know what's the idea. What's the problem with having anything that's not like this? Anything that's not, what do we say? It's not a number, because the termination code will be automatically taken. Which is fine. It's more than okay in my case. Because the parse input at the end of the day works nicely. I already checked that it works good with. So should OK on simple comment, should error with incorrect path, should error with less than 2 arguments. I would want to check the dash dash right, which at the current time it is also implemented over here. Could be a different type of mode, right? Because I'm interested into giving it as a value to writing, which means probably the correct guess would be to extract it as a function that returns a boolean, and then I can write a test about it. That sounds fun. Also, this is part of the parsing, which is why I'm gonna put it over here. So public function parse. What would you call it? It's not an arg. Usually it's called flag, right? Flags. Take a look at my man. Yeah, man. Name, synopsis, description. Yeah, no, it's an option. Option. And we take as an input again an arg. And we would return, in this case, I don't remember where I put my arrow. It's going to be a boolean. So we can paste this one in. Okay. So for now, there's only one option. Later on, probably I would return more than one at a time, but sure, this time is fine. So writing would be equal to parse options and take the input args. Ciao ma, buon lavoro. Okay, so basically this will mean that what it's trying to tell me is that I guess I don't even need to find over there. For sure. Okay. Now I can actually give a little bit of a test, a quick test on my parser. Test should OK with right option, which would mean that I pass here a dash dash right. This is my args, string of course. The parse input is going to be a parse option. And if I remember correctly, assert would simply mean that you, so start will simply mean that it checks that is not, that is true. Let's run some tests. Amazing. Well, if you want to be pedantic, which I guess I'm having fun. I haven't written a test in a long time. So I actually missed the idea should be false without right flag. Should be true, right option. Well, I guess I missed the idea of programming in a better fashion with the tests, because every time they give some code out that's not tested, I feel like it's awkward. I don't trust humans to handle all the test code just because it is less of a probability when you have types. So it's way more probable that when you have something like Ruby, like Python, there's going to be some stupid error because of the stupid state. But the same could be said about other languages. Just because it happens less doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. And writing a test as of today, it's not that hard of a deal. Maybe it was sometime, but now it's going to be easier. You can do a lot before it will take you a long time. So I'm almost shocked that there's going to be any company that would simply forsake the tests and always have the manual. Also because the state then is going to be inconsistent, and you have some people that would just stand there like a robot, try the code. But rather you can engage your programmers and say, hey, this is what's happening. Okay, so there's the part of the input mostly done. Going beautiful. The next part should be, I would wanna probably parse out the actual writing of the data and make a way on how to preserve the state, because I had that idea beforehand, which would be to read the data, perform the operation, check the two files. If their state is what I expect them to be, override the file with the correct one at the end, because I always kept divided. And again, same idea over here. I have to move everything of this outside in one function, and then we slowly gonna churn it down one by one. Read, move, add clear functionality. Well, actually, I did. God damn it. Add unit test. Actually, check for docs. Check for docs. Oh no, that's over my programming. Well, actually, I should actually add some docs with active code. Because documentation is a concept that, again, is not very used, because I always work at companies that are somewhat non-caring about that. There's a lot of, how Prime calls it, tribal knowledge. So everyone will just say everything that they know, or rather know as an oral fashion, or a docx file on Drive, which is insane again to me. I wish that documentation was on the code, because it will help you out, especially if you can, rather than say the types and what they're used for, but also have an example that can run and that you know that works. So the active documentation, this sounds delightful. But this is going to be after the refactoring, this is going to be okay. I might also commit over here because I think that we did a lot of work in the commit domain. Like I'm gonna say refactored input values. There we go. I like the small bits of commits. I'm working alone on this, so I don't care about making any merge requests. And the only thing that I want to talk about the files is, do I even get to say I guess it will return okay. I guess we're gonna work with the errors and okay, so the state is similar. Which would mean I'm gonna break it down to a file which we would call file process. This is the CLI input, which one day after is a terrible name, but I want to call it someone on the file. File handling, file writing, file handling. I'm going to say my naming could use some work. And in the lib file handling, there you go. And this one does not need to say anything. Good. So the mods are for my tests. And now I would want to take all of this out. Actually, even as the OK. Where's the new kid? Handling. So let's chill down. I guess for now it's a function. So it should be a function. We would call it parse. Would it be it's called parse file? Would it say that I'm parsing a file? Yes, I would say parse file. I'm going to take a path. Of course, it's a string, and paste everything over here. Now the result type should definitely be R. The return type should definitely be a result, a result, not again, and my box bullshit. Okay, nobody's getting mad, which is rather shocking. Now, write to file has not been taken into account, but we will just take it and serve it here. This does not need to be public because I'm either way using it inside the file. And the next test would simply be to just remove everything that's not of my concern. And that would transfer into parse file. Give him my path as clone. Beautiful. Yeah, very well. Now, read, write, and file options are definitely going to be my friends. Finally, it started to work. Env has to be here. Error has to be copied. Error. That's a lot of R words. Okay. Regex. Sure. It's not needed anymore over here. Standards. So core stud. With input, error is needed. Regeg is not, we don't care anymore. The core string shall be used. Writing is not in this scope. Now, Uncle Bob told me, Uncle Bob had the idea that you don't pass a boolean inside here. And I guess he's not wrong. But then I have to pass the path again, or I have to return something from here for the value to make sense. Right? Have to... I'm still passing the path. I'm still passing the data. This function could simply start returning just the clean data as a clone. And I think would be fine. So the result would be... Yeah, let's try the Uncle Bob way. I thought about what he said, the idea that it's rude to give a boolean. And that was going to mean a lot of refactoring, but if this I think that this would actually make the code a little bit sweeter, because then I could then I have the parse file that give me some data, and then I can decide what I do with the data. Like start writing it, or anything like apply. Maybe even have a function some. God damn it. Maybe even I could have a function at some point it would be called applied flags, and every flag ever being passed over there and getting applied, or a series of functions. I don't dislike the idea. I don't know if you can implement it, but it could be like an option string. Well, see, it's already the worst thing ever. Well, those errors could be dealt with inside this file. Like, it does not matter if I crash or not crash the program based on that error. I'm still wanting to want to execute something. Now the idea now ideally yes, expect is not a bad idea to have because it will tell you what's going on. But what would be the way to treat errors from Rust? Expect. Yeah, I wish that expect is more useful since you let specify an error message in some cases. Panic, abort and wind, options. It feels like there's going to be some kind of options. But in this case, I suppose that the program should crash if there's no file. Like, there's no reason for me to not crash and say something to the user. Which means that everything that has a file would be something like expect, and the expect message would be can't open the file. Expect can't read the file. Right, so from UTF-8, can't parse the cars. Down bad regex. Yeah, this should be removed. As from this guy, yeah, this is the only one that I can keep because I'm not using hero over there anymore. Okay. Okay, good. Well, then this would be now an option, a string option. More fitting, I guess. More fitting in my opinion, a string. It's gonna get mad that there's some results. Should be now an okay. And would I want it to be a constant that I check? Like, this is an okay. This okay tells me that I didn't capture shit. So if it's empty, just return. And would that be handled by the writing? No, it wouldn't. So the okay would be... Let's make a file that would be calling... I can actually even define them over here. But let's separate concerns. So a file will be constants.rs. Naturally the pub mod constants. In the constants, we would simply have pub const rather than string. It couldn't even be str. It should be empty. Not much. Maybe give it a name. Public const. Not much. Good. Which would now mean that this is going to be a return type of that string. Good. Okay, fuck that. My bad. My const file will be a string. Son of a bitch. Okay, looks like I can't use it on a string. Which gets us to square 1 because now this bitch will complain. Because a single str won't work, right? So you have to pass the expectation, which can lifetime specifier. But now, let's say that I put a lifetime, it will still get mad, I know. But was it because I have to put it besides the name? Like so. Does this work? Which would then mean that if I can use the constant here, so use didn't okay. This would be no match. This is fine. Expected option because of return type. Okay. And this would be this will return just data. Need to return anything else, right? But my data is a string. Oh, my bad. Clean data, I meant. not return value reference temporary value. Returns a value assume data owned by the current function. Well, that's a big problem. Guess you can't, huh? But then, how do I even do anything in my life? How do I cannot return local variable Rust? How do I deal this shit? Do I just use my path? Do I just put this? Do I stuff my stuff in the path and return that? Would that work? The path equal clean data. I return the path. Of course, he noticed. Oh, that's not good. So the solution would be my expression. Yeah, but how do I do anything useful if I can't even work on some data and pass it back? The only way that I see this happening is simply by going into the main. By the way, what's this happening anymore? Okay. The only way that I see this being possible is my data should be passed over here. This will mean that clean data now has to be passed over here. And I can remove this. Of course, it's immutable. Well, now I don't even need to do sum as a return. Which should mean that my return simply does not even need to happen, by the way. Because I'm still passing like the the actual value, right? This case is a bare bones return. Pass by reference mute Rust. Pass value by ref and mute. what's the... It's before... Okay, no, it's here. So it'll be at mute. Okay. It's going to be mad because you want my stuff. If everything goes okay, it's okay. Good. And my box now doesn't make any sense because every error is just being handled in a monkey way. Expected mid to string, found string, correct. Okay. And now the writing behavior should simply be if clean data that so this doesn't return shit because now it's overriding by clean data. But I can just check the clean data. It's a string, so all right. Should I reference this? Good. And if my clean data dot count len is different than 0, and writing threshold, then we shall write file. But here's the deal. Here's the cool stuff. Like, I do know the path, and I don't know the clean data. My bad. Okay, path, clean data. About to say something stupid. Well, it's not found, but it can be. Right. Okay. Good. The main looks kind of clean now. Looks actually kind of good. It has been absolutely a nightmare to write, but successfully. So that's 2s. I don't know how I feel about this, but let's try and run it up. Actually, get a good old test running. That's good. The cargo run. We're getting what expected. The cargo ask. Unused crates from no match. that's good. Now let's run it up on our test file. Okay. And cargo run. Might zoom it once more. Cargo run on my test files. Volat. Cargo run test files volatile. Okay. So this what happened. Then pass the write. Now I'm actually shocked it worked that well. Oh yeah, that's why I didn't push it further. Good. So this would be good. Because now we should be able to test everything, perhaps in another test suite. Yeah, perhaps this should be another one, right? So we have our main over here, have our input and key input. Fact is, would it be better to have one folder for the test and everything else? Well, as per usual, I'm going to simply go with it is what it is. The folder structure can be fixed one ethereal long way, one very far away day that it will never come because you will never clean the project. But again, since it's going to be for fun, I'm not going to bother into this minutia, because when the fun is getting sucked out of the normal job, I wish to have it here. So I'm going to do small sets of unfun per time, which now would mean let's make one folder. We will call it, file handling. What file handling is what handling so I want it to be called file handling. One sneaky idea that I could actually do. So first off, let's commit. Let's double paste commit. And let's say a factor the handling, the file handling. Very well. Now, it made me wonder what my analyzer was going crazy. It made me wonder something. What if I can have the mod file, which will be use every other file inside that folder, and then you can have each folder, which will be a crate, each crate that use a crate itself, and then you can use it. If that works, I can then folder up have my folder with the tests and the user files. I don't know if I like more to have different files for different folders, different folders for the tests and one folder for everything else. But at least the naming would be more consistent, wouldn't it? So let's try it over here. Because it would be the same idea that is in the... it is the same idea that we have inside the lib, right? So this would be test data.res. The mod would be this. And this would use create because it sees this module. So that doesn't work. Remember the other day, however, so this is one way that doesn't work. But I remember the other day, however, that you could do some stuff inside the mod file, inside the lib file. Like saying public mod input, and the mod input should have a pub mod. I mean, each mod file is the folder and the function input inside of it. This should declare the file. Give me an example of lib res in Rust. Hey, but what the fuck was this yesterday? I remember that he told me something of that source. Yeah, this doesn't quite compute of what I expecting to do. So the mod would handle my handles my tests. But wouldn't mod then define every single crate over here? is how to import mod from same folder. Okay, so this is where I use the crate. But the crate is not in the same definition, in the same function. Okay, so let's try again. Use crate validation. But it's not seen because it's not public, correct? Will not be seen now. Finds it in the root. Basically, this approach is simply not going to happen. Okay. Well, that's sad. Do I now have... That makes me wonder, what if I treat it like a mod and I put it... My CLI input is expected to be a file or a folder. What if I put my code inside a folder? So it will be called in the same fashion. And then, okay, while I think a bit, let me go and run to the bathroom. So I'm gonna be right back. So again, the folder menu. I would want either I can put everything inside the folder or some way like that. Because this itself is a crate. But my point is, can't I just what's about so special about the mod file? So Rust book. And let's take a look at the mod managing project crates. Yes. So one is a crate, one is a mod. Sure. Yeah, so this thing. Structure are created in this way. We can organize its function into nested modules. Create an library named restaurants by running cargo restaurants, then enter the code listing into the server. So mod front house hosting function. We define a module with the mod keyword followed by the name of the module. The value goes inside the curly bracket. Inside the modules, we can place other modules. In this case, we use hosting a service. Can also have definitions such as enums, cost, and everything else. By using module, you can group the related definitions together, name them by the related. Program using this code can navigate the code base on groups rather than having through all definition. Make it easier to find definitions relevant to them. Okay, so I can have a mod input and have a mod that's called test and one that's called clean input. Wouldn't that be correct? Like public mod input, then inside this mod test mod clean input. Okay, can't find the model clean input rs. And can't find model test. Okay. Yeah, inside my input, this shall be called test, and this should be called the input.rs. So my lib is happier, right? It's like my lib will still get mad. Why? Input cli input rs. Cli input rs. Let's try to remove this. Maybe having this there, it will get it mad. Still gets mad. Okay. Does it all have to be public? Okay, great. Back to differ, my guy. It is. Back to differ, my guy. It is actually used somewhere. Okay, I was so locked in. Okay, so test RS. Of course, now it would be called how it is been handling over here by input. She didn't ask this one. So young outer attack. There we go. Okay, so this now resolves. Test that here. Great. And by input, it's going to be a cargo run. Works. Absolutely sweet. You know, this has been a fun, kind of nice experience. Makes me wonder, by the way, do I have to make it all public, or is this superfluous? But why would I ever want to have a private modules if I can't use them? Making everything public, but what happens when I put it as a private? But I guess you define it inside the function, but sure. Okay, but by this standard now, I actually blanked out of what I was going to do. So I'm gonna say what I will do. I have to do something now at 8. It will take me a couple of minutes. And afterwards I'm going to be back. But basically, following this idea, I can define over here the file handling as a folder with every mod inside it. This way, I could then have again the test files and the handling file in one folder, and we go from there. And from there we will test the writing function. So we will test both the writing function and the parsing function. The parsing function should just return OK, and we are not too bothered about that. The writing function would then read the file, see what's in, so we see what's in there. We test that whatever is being written should be equal to another test file, which would be of the same category, which would be in our folder test files. And now we say, then we could say confidently that everything is being written as we expect it to be, which is a great thing to know. So excuse me for a minute. I'm gonna have to grab my portable computer and do something really quick. It's gonna take a minute to get started. And afterwards, or actually, while it gets things started, let's set it up. No, there's an way. Be right back. Also grab my mouse. Okay, I don't know how, but I actually nuked my keyboard and won't type. Right, so at this point it's going to be a public mode file handling. Gonna be again a test folder. Actually, it should be called CLI and input. And this should be file handling. Will be test and code. Rather than code, it would be. Can it be file handling? File handling. Sure, why not? Okay. Which would then mean that we make a file handling folder followed by my file handling test.rs, and we write it up. Then we move my file handling into source file handling. Okay. So how is my lib doing? Okay, so the Rust analyzer sometimes just going to shit himself and not find my stuff. Of course, this means that it's not anymore a didn't task, but it's a add one more file handling, and this is shit. But it is what it is. Very well. Now we can worry about the test. So let's go to the definition. Let's get back here. And let's write some tests. Learning from the other test, like the input kind, we'll only need one as an example, really. And this one should use create file handling. They just get in everything. Okay. We can use here parse input. Won't it? And I have to use parse file and write file. Okay, so this is test one. This is test two. But now my shit is getting... It's actually kind of bad, isn't it? Because isn't my logic scattered inside the main and I can't do like an integration test? I guess it's more in the correct idea, but I don't like it. Because I wish to override the file with that I think and make it work. I don't want to test simply this shit here. So Uncle Bob actually betrayed me very much. Because the parse file will only... Well, parse file though return me actually will mutate the... Let's put it over here. The parse file, however, will mutate my clean data quite nicely. So let's make a path, which would be a static one from... Wonder where that crates are run from. Yeah, what's the big deal? Let's just try. So let path be test, what's called test files. Simple comment, which by now, let's make it right. So simple comment here, simple comment sol be simple comment .rs. This is the first one. Let clean data be an empty string. Mute needs to be a mutable mute. Great. Okay, be right back. I still to do the check. All right, I am so back. Always give a little bit attention to my girlfriend. and we can get back to programming. All right, so the path has been stringified, and we got the clean data out. Then we can assert that my clean data is equal to the other one, the solution, because we can redefine the path and call it so, right? And the path has to be written. You got the amount, right? And basically our default file here, right? So was space CA for an action, and we can import the file. Very nice. And I don't need the path afterwards, so it's fine. That is gone. File the read end to end. We can parse the data. We can again get out the action. Import this. Okay, very good. Now we simply assert equal. I'm gonna put the correct data on my left and the cleaned data on my right. But I would also want to rename the data rather than clean data. It would be expected data. This in the test file. Then we can cargo test. Okay, so there's more space, which is what I actually wanted. Why there's more space when I do that? Great. Very happy of the idea of how this test is being set up. At the very least, I get what I want. So to fix this tabbing issue. Now, the tabbing issue, why is it happening? Because I can clearly see that my function main, my left, wait, my expected is being triggered, not. So my expected should have 4 spaces here, there's 8 in the other one. Simple. Comment arrested, this is 4 spaces. And when I overwrite it, it's less than 4. Why is that? Because I'm just gonna take over the length. I guess a good start would be to print out what's going on as in general. It looks like today I can't go very long, which is unfortunate. I was actually starting to get fun. Let's say like that. Let's finish it on a good note. So dot and push it up. I would say add unit test for parsing. And tomorrow we will solve this small issue, whatever it is that is going on. Might even have an idea. Well, how many people are here? There's one sweet guy, one person. Guess we will raid someone with a 0 count. Yeah, 5 it's a little bit much. So let's hope that the raid goes well this time. Because I'm not big on raiding. So same category. Low to high. Not big on raiding people with way too many stuff. So this guy is in Russian. How about an English tag? Same category. Following. So Ruski, English doing Runeterra. Designing a lever for my game. One viewer. Looking good. Wait, is it English? Sure. So my guy, if you're still here, let's raid the guy. See what's doing. Some game development. You're still here. Stop.